Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. We appreciate our great sponsors. Coach Spurrier will be in here in a little bit. We'll talk to him about a lot of things, including Masters Week. Man, it's one of my favorite week of the year. I'm sorry. I know the NCAA tournament's great, and I know college football is great, but Masters Week is my favorite week of the year. And another good thing about today is that April 1st is gone. I hate April Fool's Day. I hate that people try to put stuff up. In fact, if you're a journalist, I think you hate April Fools because you see things and you go, oh, wait, it's April 1st. That's right. Somebody's pulling my leg. I don't know why anybody puts any news up because maybe you think it's going to be, refuted. But I hate April Fool's Day. It's like my least favorite day of the year. But now it's gone, and I can move on. So we got the coach, and then on Friday, Izzy Gutierrez, who we've had on the show one other time. You've seen him on Around the Horn and many other different things for ESPN. Love having him on. Great guy, former Florida. Went to Florida and covered the Gators for a while, so always great to talk to him. Let us get to our starting lineup, our sponsorless starting lineup for the first time since 2 years. But it's available for you. Give me a call, give me a ring, send me an email, and we'll be happy to get you on board. All right, number one was the first game of the Final Four. To me, that's the biggest story of the weekend, was the first game of the Final Four. That FAU got beat on. I mean, FAU leading the whole game, 14 points up, couldn't hold on to it. And then, Lamont Butler hits that shot, and it was so Michael Jordan-esque and him making it. And they win, and they go on. And that's what – I think they're the first team – I think I wrote this down. Yeah. First team to win their Elite Eight game and a Final Four game by 1 point. That's pretty impressive. But it was unbelievable. He was an inch away, literally that much away from stepping out of bounds in that play. But he didn't, and he made the shot. And it's a game of inches, right? Even basketball, a game of inches. But it was an unbelievable game, and what a season for FAU. Put them back on the – I think they put them on the map. I'm sorry, Lane Kiffin did not put FAU football on the map. And Willie Taggart certainly didn't. And now I'm trying to think who their coach is now. Is it Butch Davis? I think maybe. Butch Davis. Nobody's putting FAU football on the map. And FAU basketball we didn't even know they had a team. So, and FAU baseball, always pretty good, but never anything special. This puts FAU on the map. People now know that it's in Boca Raton. I mean, I don't think a lot of people even knew where it was. But what a great year for Dusty May. It'll be interesting to see. All the head coaching jobs are filled now. So it'll be interesting to see how he's able to take advantage of this or whether he wants to. Whether he's happy just to be down there living in South Florida and living on the beach and family growing up there, and maybe he waits for next year. But again, you never know what next year could bring. We saw that with North Carolina. 1 year Hubert Davis gets his team to the final game. The next year he doesn't get to the tournament with the same guys, basically. So you never know what's going to happen. Number two in the starting lineup was the other game. UConn handled Miami up by 20, as many as 20 in the second half. Miami did make a little run. And mostly with their defense. They were playing incredible defense. And but UConn was able to handle it. UConn, all I could think the whole game was they looked like the team I saw December 7th. December 7th, they came in here and beat the crap out of Florida, beat them by 21. And you looked at them with Sonogo and the 7-2 guy, whose name I always screw up, so I'm not going to even try it. It sounds like another name, but anyway. I keep thinking Cade Curlin. It's not Cade Curlin. It's something like that. Anyway, That kid is good. Jordan Hawkins is good. They have such a good team. They're deep. They throw all these bodies at you. Yeah, there's just so many good players on that team. I got to give them credit. I thought watching them play on December 7th, this team's going to be in the Final Four. Now they're in the national championship game. They had that run. And again, this goes back to, it's almost like conference play doesn't matter. All it does is toughen you up. You're going to lose some games in the conference. Teams know you. They know your coach. They know what he likes to do in certain situations. That's why I think Florida and Kentucky the year after, and the only two teams that have ever done it in the SEC, going 18-0 is unbelievable. It's hard. It's hard to go 15-3. It's hard to go 14-4. To go 18-0 is amazing, but that team did lose some games in the conference and then came back and obviously did really well. And so we have the championship game tonight if you're listening to this on Monday. Otherwise, you already know who won. UConn is a 7.5-point favorite. And everybody's going to say it's UConn's game to lose, and it may be. I think UConn's got an unbelievable team. I think they'll just pound them. San Diego State didn't get here by accident. They made the big shots. If they can keep it close, they can keep it to like a 3 or 4 point game with 2 minutes to go. At that point, I would say it favors San Diego State. But UConn is blowing out everybody, and they may just blow this team out as well. It may not be an exciting championship game. Of course, the women's championship game, I don't even want to talk about it. I dislike Kim Mulkey, and I dislike LSU. When she went to LSU, I was like, that's bad news for everybody in college basketball because she's a great coach and knows how to get players there. But it was really bad news because I don't like LSU. I don't know why. I think it still goes back to the hurricane deal. I never really had any dislike for LSU before that. And don't forget, then you had, I'm trying to think of the order of this happening. 2017, Florida, LSU in the national championship game. Florida, of course, wins it. And they show Kim Mulkey on TV 48 times because her son's playing for him. Didn't like him either. So anyway, I don't know. I just dislike LSU now. But they won the national championship. Salute. And it was really weird. A lot of trash talking and stuff. And the women are becoming like the men's game. They really are. Guys mouthing off to each other and everything. Technical fouls called for no apparent reason. Kim Mulkey at one point is 2 yards on the court and in trying to encourage her team to get back, runs into a referee. That's not a technical, but somebody throwing the ball behind her back out of bounds is a technical. Let me tell you what. I like the women's game. I like to watch them play. And I watched 2 straight games on Saturday or Friday night. I watched both those games to their entirety. And they were unbelievable and a lot of fun. But I have said this a million times. If you think officiating is bad in college basketball, when you see it in women's college basketball, it is a different level bad. But you got to play around it. Just like Iowa didn't. They let it get to them. All right, number 3, which may have been the biggest story really of the weekend. Maybe this should be number 1 on the starting lineup, was the injury to Trinity Thomas at the NCAA gymnastics meet. Latest word on her is she's day-to-day. I've talked to people over there who think she's going to be back, but she may not be. And we all go back to 2 years ago when she hurt both of her ankles. I think they were different times, yes. Both of her ankles. Everybody said she'd be back. She was back, but she wasn't all the way back, and they fell short. They can't win without her. And I will give them credit for being able to pull out the win. Cal was amazing on the beam. I'm trying to get on my – there was a lot of watching this weekend. A lot of golf too, but a lot of watching. And but Florida gets in. Gets in. They finished second, which doesn't really matter. And I didn't know this. Gymnastics is a weird sport in a lot of ways. I love it. I adore it. I love watching it. My wife and I, we were mad because on Friday Friday, it wasn't coming on ESPN Plus. So we got her laptop out. She got her laptop out to watch it on there. And then finally it came on ESPN Plus, but they were way behind, so she kept watching it on her laptop. I mean, that's how much we care about gymnastics. But it's just weird, some of the things they do. One thing that they do, and I didn't even realize this was the way it is they set up when you go in the finals, when you get to the NCAA finals, it's already preordained by how you finish. So Florida is in the early group. Now, in the early group, now again, this is not till April 13th that Florida will compete. Everybody will compete. If Florida is in the early group, you got to finish in the top 2 to get to the final. So it's just very much like it is for the regionals. But the regional thing has changed in the last couple of years, and I was confused by some things. Anyway, April 13th, so they got a lot of time to rest. DiCello and Leanne Wong were unbelievable in this meet. Unbelievable. Number 4, let's get to baseball. I never thought I'd say starting pitching is a concern at Florida. I looked this stat up, and Florida's ERA is a little bit over 9 from their starting pitchers since Brandon Sproat's one-hit shutout of Alabama to start conference play. This is in conference games. So the last 8 conference games, their ERA is a little bit over 9. They got 32 walks, bunch of hit by Pitt. They're not pitching well, but they're winning, and they're still 7-2 in the conference. Of course, in this conference, it's crazy. The East is the dominant right now. They're totally, Florida's 7-2 in the conference and 4th in the East. That's how good the East is this year. And, of course, the best team is in the West. But they get to beat up on some bad teams. LSU did take 2 out of 3. I thought maybe Caglione needs to maybe go to a different role. But, nah, I mean, he's throwing it 98 from the left side. He's going to figure out the balls and strikes. And don't forget, he didn't pitch last year. But, they've given up 62 walks is how many they've given up. The whips are all above 1. Anybody who's pitched significant time, that's walks and hits per innings pitched. That's kind of a high number. Some of them are ridiculously high. The ERA, 4.86 for the staff. Meanwhile, Cags is hitting 408 with 18 homers. He's still going to be I think the Olerud winner is the guy who's the best two-way player. He's going to be that. There's not much doubt about that. But he won't be player of the year. Dylan Cruz from LSU is ridiculous. Number 5, this was a great weekend to remind myself of why I watch sports, in that it can take you to the depths of despair and bring you back the next day. Just a day later, you could go back. And this was Friday. Friday, Florida gives up 8 in the first 2 innings, gets destroyed by Auburn. I was like, what? Softball gets way down, comes back with a 7-run 6, then gives up 7 in the bottom of the inning against South Carolina, which isn't very good. The next day, both of them win. Gymnastics, Friday night was a terrible night. But, they ended up getting to the thing. It was like this up and down. And that's what all sports are. The Braves won 2 games, and I'm like, we're going to win. We're going to win them all. Then they lose 4-1 by walking in 3 runs in the first inning. It's all unscripted. This is why we watch it. It's why we love it as well. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back with the HBC. We'll talk to him about the Masters, about his 2001 offense. I'm going to talk to him about that. And much more to get to. We'll have our Campus USA play of the weekend as well. You can imagine what that is. You are watching or listening to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another duly noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. to go. Come on down and enjoy it. Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more, including yours truly. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Trial membership until April 11th only, featuring Billy Napier and Tommy Townsend. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org. That's membership@quarterbackclub.org, or call me, and I'll let you get to the right people.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
Okay, and welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. And of course, Meldon Law, the sponsor of Steve Spurrier's appearances here every Monday. We love having him. It's always great talking to him. We were talking off the air about officiating in the women's game yesterday, and I'd already talked about how it was pretty atrocious, and it always usually is. But you made a good point. If you're an offensive lineman, you can jump off sides as many times you want. Nobody throws you out of the game.
Basketball is a sport, for some reason, when you have 5 fouls, you're out of the game.
Yeah.
And so the referees, they can, if they want to tag you for a foul, they almost can always do it. And
Sure.
Yesterday in the women's game, and first of all, the women's game probably is going to outrate the men's game, which is tonight. More people watching. First thing I thought about was Dr. Ruth Alexander, who started women's sports here at the University of Florida, and Coach Ray Graves, who said, yeah, we need to do this. I mean, there was a lot of football coaches back in the 70s that said, you women are crazy. You're not going to take over football and basketball. But Coach Graves was understanding. He said, heck yeah, we need women's sports here. And Ruth Alexander got it started, and I wish she could have seen the crowd there at the LSU Iowa game yesterday. It had to be, what, 25,000, 30,000?
Yeah.
Just packed, going crazy.
I think that's what it seats, right around there.
And that game will probably outrate the game tonight when the men play.
You know, a lot of people don't even know that. I mean, they've heard of Ray Graves, but they don't even realize he was AD.
He's the AD, had to prove it all. Yeah. Remember Bo Schembechler, the Michigan football coach? He said if we allow women's sports college football will never be the same. It will go downhill to like an intramural sport.
Yeah, that didn't
Well, he
work
was
out.
wrong. He
Yeah.
was wrong. He was certainly wrong. But anyway, yeah, Coach Graves approved it and so forth. But yeah, getting back to the refereeing in any big game, I wish the commissioners or something would tell the referees, listen, let the players decide who wins.
Right.
You're not supposed to
Right.
decide who wins. If it's obvious, you got to call it. But all these little brush fouls and stuff and calling technicals when the woman looked at her wrong or the lady did something. Oh man, it was sad watching it yesterday. Now LSU would have still won,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah,
but still, when Caitlin Clark, who doesn't even talk during the games, all she does is shoot those 3-pointers and probably the best women's college player.
She does a little trash talking, but it's not directed at the referees. It's directed at the players.
Yeah, you know, they do their 3 when they make a 3.
Yeah.
So I saw the LSU girls, they were doing their 3
Yeah.
when they made one, which is, that's okay. That's part of the game. But anyway, let all the best players play about the whole game and decide who the champion is going to be. That's what we wish would happen. But sometimes the referees want to jump in there and make their presence felt more than it should be.
And you were talking about how after you get 2 fouls, most coaches sit you down for the rest of the half, and that's part of the problem. I've been long an advocate of at least going to 6 fouls, and I think some people feel like it mucks up the game because then you can hack away, but it doesn't. Let's try it. Let's see if it works. If it makes a better product.
Oh, we're always making rule changes. In fact, the other night I was watching history of ACC basketball.
I watched
and
that.
back
It was
even
good.
in the early 70s, there was no shot clock. So they just held the ball. Remember
Right.
that 12-10 game?
Oh, yeah.
I think Wake Forest and North Carolina, both coaches said, no, we're going to get you out of the zone. So they just held the ball for 5 minutes without shooting, and it was so you got to have new rules, and we have them now. They got the shot clock to make the game better, and number of fouls should be a new rule also that they need to look at.
I actually covered a Sun Belt final with no shot clock, and I think it was 22-15 was the final.
They kept holding the ball.
And that was not, I did not enjoy it. Let's just put it that way. But obviously, a busy weekend, and one of the things we always worry about are injuries, and Trinity Thomas having an injury, and Florida barely gets into the finals.
Well, we still won the region, I think.
No, he finished second because they won it
we
the
did?
first night, and then they come back and they changed this in 2019. Then you got to compete again on Sunday, and so she's out, and they had 2 girls step out on the floor, and they finished second, but it doesn't really matter.
No, because we
Yeah.
go to the.
You go and you're already pre-assigned where whether you go on the first or the second thing. So they're going to be on the first one. They'll start on bars. I already know that on April 13th. But yeah, you hate to see that happen. Somebody like that, one of the greatest athletes to ever play here and compete here, get hurt. Now she may be back for the NCAA's. We'll see.
Time will tell, and that's what this coming weekend.
It's
do
it's April 13th. So what's that? That would be a week and a half from now. Yeah.
You have to give a shout out to the LSU athletic director.
Yeah.
I don't know his name.
Scott
right now.
Woodward, yeah.
Scott Woodward, yeah. Brought in Brian Kelly, proven guy at Notre Dame. They win the West this year, beat Alabama. They actually played Georgia a little closer, probably in the final score. They gave up some interceptions or funny things happened. But LSU football had a big year. LSU basketball, he hires Kim Mulkey, best coach in America. And you got to admire her. All the dresses and all the funny stuff that she wears, she says, if I can get one person to watch me, that's another eye on women's basketball. So she said, I am promoter of women's basketball in America. And she always
I
talks-
kind of look at it the other way. I watch despite what she's wearing.
But all of her former Louisiana players, Baylor players, she says they're in the stands rooting for their coach and our new team, this, that, and the other. But she obviously, her track record is unbelievable. She's got, 4 nationals now, and she's a winner everywhere she goes. And they got a chance to build a dynasty down there with this transfer portal now.
Yep.
And they had 9 transfers in that formed this team, and she obviously knows how to coach them.
Absolutely. I mean, she's a great coach. There's nothing I can say negative about the way she coaches. I'm just not a big fan. But
well, she actually, a lot of attention is on her on the sideline, But she's coaching the heck out of her team. The
Oh,
whole
yeah.
game. You got to say that now.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no question
She
about
can
that.
coach, right?
And of course, baseball took 2 out of 3. Softball got beat 2 out of 3 this week, which was surprising. And
Very unusual. South
Yeah.
Carolina beat us in softball. And what baseball? How did it end up?
baseball they won the last
We
2.
won our last 2,
The
okay.
first one they got shelled early and never rallied on that. But we'll see what happens there. Caglione hit another homer. I just don't even need to say that. I mean, he hit one.
He's I guess the best home run hitter in the country.
Well, he's hitting right now 404 with 18 homers. That's pretty good. And we're not even near halfway through the conference schedule.
That is for sure.
Hey, this week I did a thing. I do these things for Gators Wire, and 12 things Dooley's does. And the one I did this weekend was for the best offenses in Florida history. And you know which one I put number 1? I looked at a lot of stats. I studied them. And you may not agree with me, but you were the coach of one of them, 2001.
Yeah, 2001 was our, I think, the third best of the 12 years I was there, just in points.
Yeah, points.
96 and 95 were first and second.
96 got a lot of defensive scores that year, if you remember.
96 team.
Yeah, because remember they got like 3 in the first game?
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
just
they
on
were
points,
right there, yeah.
On points, the 96 team had more than any other. Then it was 95. Then it was 01. Oh,
Yeah.
01 was, we had 2 close games and lost both of them. And that's the way it turned out.
Both of them with Ernest Graham. Did you ever think about what would have happened if he had been able to play? Or do you think it would have made a difference?
Well, they had a guy named Travis Stevens that ran for 225 yards against our defense, which I think was number 1 in the conference coming
Right.
into that game. But I don't know what happened to our run defense, and then we had to kick field goals. We went up and down the field. Rex would have won the Heisman and all that if we just scored touchdowns instead of having to kick some field goals. So as a coach, you look back and said, man, should have called this play or that play or this one. But
Do you think if he had gotten that 2-point conversion and the game ends up going to overtime, I think he still would, even if you lost, I think he still would have won the Heisman. Just by bringing them back to that point. But who knows? I mean, these are things I like to look up and have fun with. But no, 96, 95, people forget how good that offense was. That offense was amazing.
Yeah, the 95 team never had a close game. But another good offense was Urban's 08 team.
Yes.
The 08 team.
They were on the list.
They clobbered most everybody. Whereas our 06 team barely beat almost everybody. And
06 was more built on
had
defense.
2 one-point wins,
Yeah.
06 team. Yeah, they scraped by. And I remember Tim Tebow said I was on the onside kick team, hands team, against Vanderbilt to win the game. And I think we beat Vandy 24-19 that day.
Yep.
And then that team went on and won national championship. So win close, win big. At the end of the day, it's what's your record? What's your record?
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to talk to you, too, about the Masters. It's Masters week, officially today. Tiger's already out in the course practicing. Interesting that he's playing with DeChambeau.
So, live guys.
And Greg Norman already saying if a live guy wins, everybody from the live is going to rush the green. All his players. They're so into this. And so I cannot root hard enough for the guys that aren't on the live.
Yeah, there's going to be, the 9/11 group that had relatives killed. 11 out of the 14 hijackers are from Saudi Arabia.
Right.
I think they say
Right.
so. They're going to be there doing their protests with the Live group. So hopefully it'll be peaceful. A lot of things we hope are peaceful this coming week, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, time will tell. But anyway, it'll be a heck of a tournament.
I watched the women's. I don't know if you watched the women's amateur. I could watch anybody play at Augusta. I really could. I could watch
I
Jared
watched it
play
too,
at
the
Augusta.
sudden death. Yeah, the sudden death there. And the lady that won it, what's her name again?
Zhang. Rose Zhang.
Zhan, Zhang, I guess.
Yeah, she's
And
from
man,
Stanford.
was she cool! But she's won so much. She's won everything as an
I know.
amateur. I didn't realize her history, and she'll be an outstanding pro. And then the other golfer that was in the playoff
Bay, yeah.
went to Georgia.
Georgia.
So she had all of her fans rooting for her, obviously there, Georgia Bulldog. and she just hit a bad second shot into 10, and that was the end of the.
That's no man's land down there. You played that course. You hit it over there on the left on 10. It's death. I subconsciously hit it way out to the right. My first shot,
On 10?
my drive, and then I hit it. Anyway, I made
It's
double
hard to
bogey
hit
there.
that green, yeah.
I made a couple of those during when I played there. But at least we have the experience of playing there, and you played there several times, right?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to play there several times, and in fact, first time I played there, I was coaching at Georgia Tech with Pepper Rogers, and Coach Rogers said we got a Ramblin' Wreck booster club in Augusta, and I got you guys on Augusta National if you want to play. How many guys want to play? Well, everybody raised their hand. We had our line coach, he was out there in tennis shoes playing. We had about 8 or 9 of us, but that was the first time I had a chance to play it, and so forth, and then played it probably 10 other times.
It's just the most beautiful piece of land, I think, in the world. I really do. It's just so, the hills, the flowers, it's so perfectly manicured, and I can't wait for the par 3 contest. I just love watching everything that happens there. And I got to cover 9 of them, so I was very fortunate there. But I mean, is that your favorite course, or is Pebble Beach, or?
Oh, I don't have an exact favorite, but obviously that would be one. Pebble would be one, and a whole bunch of Florida courses I really like also.
Do you have a pick? Who do you think's going to win?
Win it? Oh, I like Scotty Scheffler, and you know he.
It's hard to win back to back. Yeah,
seem to be the favorites. But
yeah, and John Rahm. John Rahm is my pick.
Due.
Yeah,
he's due also. They're probably the 3 highest ranked right now. But you know, anybody can get hot and play well and have a chance to win it. But yeah, you're right. With all those live guys there, Mickelson's going to be there, and Dustin Johnson, and you know,
Cameron Smith, who's played really well there, almost won it a couple times.
Yeah, he's almost won it. So it's going to be interesting how it all plays out.
Yeah, they should put a little. You know, they put the country you're from on the side. They should just put live
tour,
or not
what
live.
Tour you're from?
What tour? What tour? Senior tour. Some guys there would be. I don't know if Sandy Lyle still plays or not.
Former winners get to come back. It's true.
Unless they give you that letter. They send you that letter.
When you get to an age, I guess so.
That's Bianchi asked Doug Ford one time why he kept coming back, and he says, "Because I won the damn thing."
Yeah, former winners get invited back until I guess they just can't quite compete at all, and so forth. Yeah.
All right. So also I wanted to ask you about spring football, and of course, not a lot of news out of camp, and they had a scrimmage the other day. It didn't sound like a whole lot happened, but going forward with the spring game coming up, and actually the spring game is the same day that gymnastics starts.
13th.
The 13th. It's also, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on next week. So we'll talk about that then. But what did you try to get out of your actual spring game? We talked earlier about what you got out of the spring. What did you try to get out of your spring game?
We tried to get the young guys some experience, let them play most of it,
right,
and so forth. Now, the first year we were over in Jacksonville because we ripped out the AstroTurf and put in natural grass, and obviously the players really loved that. They said, man, I like this guy Spurrier. He actually cares about us instead of playing on that hot AstroTurf. Oh, man, they hated that stuff.
And it was brutal,
I can understand. 1 o'clock, 95-degree day here, and you're playing on that AstroTurf. So natural grass was really the right way for us to go. And so the first game, we let a lot of the starters play a lot of it. We're still sort of grading everybody, and that's when Shane had such a good day. I think he was 8 of 11, 3 touchdown passes. So he sort of started separating himself as our starter for the next year. But after that, our starters would play a little bit, and then we'd let the backup guys play most of it.
Yeah, you talked about I want to go back to that AstroTurf thing because there were players that played during that era where it was that artificial turf that said it was like landing on hot concrete. And it was just, they hated it. I mean, I remember the great game Wilbur Marshall had against Southern Cal, and everybody, you know, it was a 95-degree day on that AstroTurf. After the game, he couldn't celebrate. He had to be taken into the locker room.
Yeah, get the Gatorades out.
Yeah.
IV up and so forth. It was really hot on those kind of days, especially.
So when you're negotiating your deal, did you throw that in there?
I threw it in there.
Yeah.
I said, what's the chance on us ripping out this extra turf and putting natural grass in there? Well, what do you think? Yeah, we can do that. Well, let's do it. We need to do that in a big way. So, I was very happy that they agreed to do that.
So it was grass turf, blue jerseys. What was the other thing you wanted? You wanted to play Miami. I remember that.
Yeah,
it didn't work out. Yeah,
that's okay. I was just sort of talking a little bit then. Our schedule was tough enough.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, Arnsbarger, when we added the two new teams, South Carolina and Arkansas, and added another conference game, I remember Coach Arms, we were talking. He said, "Listen, you don't need to play Miami." I said, "You're right. We don't need to." Yeah, it's tough enough right now.
Yeah.
So anyway, we had FSU on for every year. I think if FSU had to do over again, they may look back and say, why are we playing Miami? Florida doesn't play them. We play all these ACC guys, play Florida, and at worst, only have maybe one loss a year, and play for the national championship almost every year.
Think about how many more they would have won. Yeah.
Think how many they would have had if they just wait and played Miami, maybe for the national championship. But like Bobby said, we wanted to play, both of them.
Yeah.
So they did. But that's not the attitude a lot of teams have nowadays, that's for sure. Somebody asked, how come Georgia and Alabama don't play every year? Well, we just don't. That's the only answer. We just don't. And I think Georgia actually dropped somebody. They had a big opener.
Yeah, they did. I'm trying to remember who it was. Oregon, I think it was.
Last year. Maybe Washington.
Well, they dropped somebody,
Some big team. They
Yeah.
maybe could have given them a good game for UT Martin, somebody like that.
Well, but you think about what next year is going to mean.
Yeah.
So you could have a schedule. Well, you're going to. I mean, it's not definite, but we know they're going to have a 9-game conference schedule. We know that's going to happen, even though it hadn't. So you got 9 games, and in this case, Florida's non-conference games are Miami, UCF, and FSU. I don't want to play that schedule. You're going to play Georgia. You're probably going to play either Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, probably 2 of those 3 teams. I mean, it's going to be really tough just to get to now, the good thing is you get the expanded playoff. So you've got a little more wriggle room there. But, I mean, it's going to be really tough.
If we have 9 conference games in FSU, that's 10. The other 2 games, well, I used to say it should be like UCF or East Carolina or somebody like that, but UCF has beaten us now, so they're even or better than us right now. So maybe we should try to get maybe one of those directional schools. That's what you used to say, one of those directional, Eastern Michigan or something.
Like they got
like
McNeese State this year,
Yeah,
but
we got
that's
McNeese,
that I've talked to Scott about it. He said if they go to 9, they're gonna move one of those games. Either Miami or UCF will move to a different year. You don't want to play 10. Basically, be 10 Power 5 teams because UCF will be in the Big 12 by then.
Yeah.
So you'd be playing 12 Power 5 games. That seems like a lot. I don't know. I always would tell people if Florida is playing on even years, they're probably not going to win the national championship because they got to go to Tennessee and go to Tallahassee. And yet you did it in '96, going to Tennessee, going to
and
Tallahassee.
lost one of them.
Yep.
Lost one of them, still won the national championship.
Yep. And we may talk next week about that '96 Tennessee game. It's one of my favorite games to talk about. We'll get to that next week. But anything else you want to talk about, Coach?
Oh, that's about it. Gymnastics this coming weekend and so forth. Shane Matthews' team, the Orlando Guardians, won their first game last week, 38-37. It was the best game.
I can't believe people scored in that league. Nobody ever scores in that league.
That was the best game in the XFL history, I think, for this year, 38-37. Heck of a game. They scored a lot of points. And Shane, it was interesting, the announcers said, they have the PA system on the play call.
Right.
So Shane calls it the wide dragster play. A little drag down the line, a couple of guys sort of pick for him, and sure enough, the other team bump and run, man to man. So they hit the wide dragster about 3 times on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 6, and that won the game for him, the wide dragster play. So
Now, was that your play?
Well, that's what we called it,
Yeah.
too. So he's calling it the same thing. But anyway, it was funny watching that, and they just kept hitting it. And the other team, they didn't switch it off and so forth. When people running those pick plays, you got to try to switch it off, or
Right.
you're going to bump into each other and things like that. So it was fun watching Orlando get a win. And this week, Bobby Stoops and the Dallas team comes to Orlando. So I'm gonna go down and watch that on Saturday.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Scotty, special team coordinator for the Dallas Renegades, Arlington Renegades.
And they got different rules in that league, so you got to be up on that for the
Mm-hmm.
special teams guy. Sometimes they kick it off. I some of the rules I still don't understand, but.
Well, their kickoff, the guys line up 10 yards from each other on the other side of the field. And as soon as the guy catches it, the referee blows a whistle and everybody starts playing. So what it is, they're only 10 yards apart instead of running down 100 miles an hour.
Cuts down on injuries. Yeah,
so it's just, it does cuts down on injuries, and the returns about like always.
Yeah,
It's hard to break one.
It is, yeah. All right, Coach, we'll let you go. We appreciate your time. We'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast and get to all of our fun stuff. Oh, we forgot to do the Campus USA Play of the Weekend. That's right. I forgot that. The Campus USA Play of the Weekend. And it was from this game, and you saw the game, Coach, FAU. Now, I think FAU is going to win this game. When this guy goes in for the layup, if he makes it, but he gets blocked.
How much time when he shot that? Did he have
to
shoot?
He had to shoot, yeah. I think
he had to shoot. That's what I thought. And this guy, he almost, I don't know if they can run that back, but they
He
said he
almost stepped out
came
of bounds.
within 2 or 3 inches of stepping out of bounds down there.
He did, and I mean, all I could think of was when he shot it was it looked so much like Michael Jordan when he made that shot for North Carolina.
I tell you what, he jumped. He's got great jumping ability, that kid. He was way up there, and he got nothing but net.
He did. Here, watch it. Doesn't this look like Jordan right here, and the one-handed
watch how
shot?
high he gets. Man, he's up there.
Yep. Man, what a moment that was, and it was a lot of fun to watch that game. The Campus USA Play of the Weekend. All right, that's going to do it for Coach's segment here. We'll be back with more stuff here on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Dooley Noted podcast. This is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer To Go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where, everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. To Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Albert, Alberta, I understand you were witnesses to a crash. Can you tell us about the accident? When you're in a crash, it's important to get witness statements immediately after the accident. Whether you're in a car, truck, motorcycle, scooter, or even a golf cart accident, at Meldon Law, we won't back down.
As the oldest Gator booster club in the world, Gainesville Quarterback Club gives you access to elite speakers like coaches, NCAA football insiders, Gator greats, and more, including yours truly. Share your passion for Gator football with hundreds of other members at weekly in-season meetings, home game tailgates, and special events throughout the year. Join the Gainesville Quarterback Club today. Trial membership until April 11th only, featuring Billy Napier and Tommy Townsend. Email the club at membership@quarterbackclub.org. That's membership@quarterbackclub.org, or call me, and I'll let you get to the right people.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Things have certainly got a little out of hand lately when it comes to just buying our everyday necessities. Just look at gas, streaming services, and heck, even chicken wings. Well, there is one necessity that shouldn't cost a ton: taking care of yourself and helping fix all the aches and pains in life, and the fine folks at Titan MRI agree. With costs a fraction of what you'd pay at a hospital, you'll not only save money, you'll be taken care of by staff with over 20 years experience. So when you need an MRI, call Titan first, and you can go where your doctors send their families. Now offering CAT scans.
All right, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Appreciate Meldon Law also for being a sponsor of Coach Spurrier. He was great. That was fun today. And, of course, we are at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. But right now we go to the Big Mills Cheesesteaks Zoom line to talk to our great friend Robbie Andrew and his dog Ellie. Is she still in there?
She was in the picture earlier. She's gone now.
Oh man, I like her. We're dog friendly, Robbie.
Yeah, but we have three dogs and a cat. So,
golly, that seems excessive.
It is.
How did the cat get along with the dogs?
He's dominating them now, like attacking Gracie, attacking Ella. Those two are afraid of him. Dexter doesn't care.
Yeah,
he's fine.
Cats. Those dogs need to know that they could just grab him by the scruff and just shake him and you're done.
I think they're intimidated by his quickness. He's really quick.
Steve.
Quick as a cat. El Gato.
Quick. Pat the cat. What's the cat's name?
Simon.
Oh. You didn't name that cat, did you?
No.
Just like I didn't name Archie or Daisy. But,
who's baby?
Daisy.
Oh, Daisy, yeah.
Yeah, Daisy's a great dog.
I said baby.
Oh. Now, I did name Maddox, though, so that's why he has a great name.
I was there when you named Maddox.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Robbie, it is time to play Yes, No, Where, Maybe, brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, Street Dining Done Right. If you go in there and tell them you listen to a Dooley Noted podcast, you get free fries with your order. Number one, Robbie, the Twins will go 162-0.
Yeah, Pat, they're definitely going to do it, and that's why I'm wearing my hat today. 3-0, baby. No stopping them.
We were 2-0.
Of course they won't, but it's fun to get off to a decent start for a change.
But, yeah, they're pitching the heck out of it right now, aren't they?
Yeah, they gave up the AL hitting leader last year for that pitcher from the Marlins. He was great in the opener, so if he can stay healthy, that definitely helps him. Pitching's been a major problem for the Twins.
Twins and the Rangers both unbeaten, which is weird.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, New York Rangers might have been 3-0, but not the Texas
Not
Rangers.
the Texas Rangers, no.
But they did make a lot of moves in the offseason. I can't keep up with any of it, but I did watch a little Braves baseball over the weekend. But unfortunately,
a lot of people are picking them to win it all again, Pat.
Well, I don't know. I don't think they're that good, but yesterday they lose because they walk in 3 runs in the top of the first inning. That was not a good sign right there.
That's early season game, though.
Right, yeah. All right, so the Masters is this week, Robbie. I know it's your favorite week of the year like me.
That's awesome.
Number 2, Billy Horschel makes the cut at the Masters. He has not played well there. And I think he's had 7 starts and only 1 top 25 finish.
I'm going to say he makes the cut, Pat. I think he's been playing pretty well so far this season. I think he makes the cut. I don't think he's going to challenge for the title. Maybe I think he makes the cut and plays pretty well.
Yeah, and I can't really explain why he doesn't play well there because it's not a bomber's course, necessarily.
No.
But I think his
game seems like a good fit for Augusta.
Because remember, DeMarco was right in there 3 or 4 times.
And
doesn't
he wasn't
hit
a
the
bomber
ball
either.
long. No.
Yeah, exactly. They're very similar.
The thing, I think Billy is a very emotional player. I think maybe he lets it get to him sometimes, but we'll see. Nothing would make me happier than Billy Horschel or any other player not on the Live Tour winning the Masters.
That's where I'm at with you, Pat.
All right,
Don't
and
want those guys.
finally, number 3, UConn beat San Diego State tonight to win the national championship.
I'm hoping that San Diego State can give them a game, Pat, but I think that UConn's clearly the best team there. And, I'm just hoping San Diego State makes it a game. But, I think UConn's going to win it, and probably fairly comfortably too.
It's kind of weird that UConn team, we love when we saw them, it was December 7th, and they beat Florida by 21. And we were like, well, we think Florida's pretty good, so UConn must be great. And then UConn gets into conference play, and they struggle a little bit during a stretch. And now in the postseason, they're looking like that team that played Florida.
Yeah, absolutely, Pat. They
7th.
cranked it back up.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
What do you think of your friend Kim Mulkey's outfits this week?
She's very bizarre, Pat, but you got to give her credit. She's a hell of a coach. I mean, to take over that program and win a national title in only 2 years, she's an incredible coach.
Yeah,
and a weird dresser.
It's bizarre. I know Coach Spurrier was just here, and he was talking about how she feels like if she dresses like that, people will watch. And I'm like, I watch despite. I like to watch women's basketball when it gets to this level, but I don't want to see her.
No, she's not my favorite person.
No, there's a lot of reasons. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, you're off the hook, but you can listen to Robbie on Wednesday on the tailgate. He and I will be hosting the tailgate on Wednesday day, because we were thinking about doing it Thursday, but we're not missing the Masters. So
no.
Okay.
All
right, Robbie. We'll see you, bud.
Okay, Pat. See ya.
All right, Robbie Andrew coming to you on Yes, No, Where, maybe brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak. Let us get to the Ben Eige Odell Realty games of the week. And we got a lot to talk about here. Florida baseball will play 6 o'clock against Bethune-Cookman. It's on the Plus. I'm just going to call it the Plus now, not ESPN Plus. It's on the Plus, that game. Thursday, there's a Thursday game because they're playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This is one reason Jeff won't be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And so Robbie and I'll do the show Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, probably not do a show. But so they have a Thursday game on ESPNU, so you don't have to have the Plus, although I highly recommend it during baseball season. That's an 8 o'clock game, Florida and Tennessee, and that'll be crazy. That'll be an electric atmosphere. It may not be good for Florida. Brandon Sproat, you're going to have to step up, my man. Of course, basketball tonight, if you're listening to the show on Monday, North National Championship game, 9:20 is your start on CBS. Things I won't be doing. Watching a blowout second half. If UConn does what I think they'll do, I don't want any part of it after, at some point. I got to go to bed. I'm an old man. I got to go to bed. Softball, also a Thursday start. They play Auburn, 6 p.m. Again, it's on the Plus. That's Thursday. So 2 Thursday night games we're going to have to keep track of. And then, of course, the Masters. Let me give you some Masters. The par 3 Wednesday from 3 to 5 will be on TV on ESPN. And then Thursday's round 3 to 7:30. I'm sorry. I crossed something out. 3 to 7:30 on ESPN. I can't wait. I can't wait. I love it. I love the Masters, and I also love Ben Eige and Odell Realty. Appreciate his games of the week, and we'll have a House of the Week as well on Friday's show. All right, let's get to our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. And we just talked about Florida is playing Thursday night games in both softball and baseball. How do they do? 2-0, 1-2, or if they go 1-2, that'll be hard. 2-0, 1-1, 0-2. Those are 3 options you have. Very simple. A lot of you qualify, but not a ton had the UConn San Diego State right. But we got some good qualifiers. We did get booked to our last winner, Mr. Julian. We got him. We met him out here Friday and got him his book and his Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks. $25 gift certificate at Leonardo. So I got to go buy some more. We got to get some more of those. But I will have them for the next time we draw, which will probably be in a couple of weeks. Still going to get some more qualifiers in. So that is your Leonardo's and Millhopper quick picks. Let us get to Hesser and Kipke. 3 things. Hesser and Kipke, of course, is a Gainesville law firm specializing in the area of workers' compensation and family law. Ken and Jennifer take great pride in their one-to-one focus on each and every client they represent. Ken is board certified in workers' compensation law by the Florida Bar, while Jennifer possesses extensive jury trial experience with a nearly 20-year background as a prosecutor. Don't believe me? You do believe me. No. Check out their more than 55 5-star reviews, or better yet, give them a call at 352-339-9920. Hesser and Kipke. Number 1, Kason Wallace is the latest to enter the draft, the Kentucky guard. The thing I would be concerned about drafting him, and they're projecting him as a lottery pick, is it seemed like he disappeared a lot in games or in moments. But then there'd be other moments when he just would take over a game. He had to play point guard. Maybe that was part of it because of Severe Wheeler's injury. I like him as a player. I'm glad he's gone, believe me. But Kentucky will just restock with all these great players and get beat in the second round of the tournament. That's what they do. But he is the latest to turn pro. Number 2 on Hesser and Kipke, 3 things. We talked a little bit about baseball's first weekend, which, of course, started on Thursday, long weekend. But the big topic of conversation, and, gosh, we saw this in the college game where B.T. Riopel was called out for not getting in the box. I mean, it was a 3rd strike, so he was out. And they were talking about, can you imagine if you get to a situation in the College World Series, guy doesn't get in the box in time and the game's over? Game over, that's it. Wait, this is the biggest pitch of the game. Nope, game's over. You didn't get in the box in time. But in Major League Baseball, times of games are way down. Not being able to throw over to first base but twice. If you throw the 3rd time, if you don't get him, he gets the base. That's I think, increased to stolen bases incredibly, but also has allowed, you just can't, we saw this yesterday with the Florida-Auburn game. Guy threw over like 8 times every batter. I hate that. I think they ought to do that in college baseball. I think that'll be the next thing they do. But overall, with the clocks, I think most people have a positive feeling about where Major League Baseball is heading. Good for them for doing the right thing. And finally, number 3 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. There is a new rule. They got a labor agreement with the NBA, and which is something the kind of thing I don't pay that much attention to, NBA labor agreements. But I saw this. I was stunned by it, but it does. I like it. I like it as a rule. You have to play in 65 games to be eligible for any of their awards. Now, how important are these awards to these players? Well, there are bonuses tied in, certainly. And you want to be the MVP. You want to be Rookie of the Year. You want to win those awards. But now if you don't play 65 games, you can't play. And they went back over the last, I think, 10 or 20 years. And I think it was CBS Sports did this. And 14 awards would be different. All NBA, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. There was a bunch of them. Shaq, for example, was on the All-NBA team 2 years in a row with the Heat. Wouldn't have gone on either one because he didn't play 65 games. So I like that rule, though. I think too often, but I will say this. Rookie of the Year, I don't agree with that. I think that should be the exemption. If you just because you don't play 65 games, you could still be the best rookie to play that year. You could play the last 40 and get your team into the playoffs, and that could qualify you. All right. That is our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. We appreciate them as always. Let us get to our Adam Dribko to go Gator of the weekend. And it may surprise you who it is. It is Bree Edwards from gymnastics. Now, the reason it is because at the last minute, Florida decided to sub her in because they knew she could get the score they needed to go to the next round, which is the finals. And I've never been as nervous in my life watching a gymnast. Because if she steps out, they're done. Their season's over. They're going to have to count Sloan Blakely, I think it was, fell earlier. They got to count one of their scores, and it's not going to be good, and they're done. And I talked to Mary Howard this morning, and I told her that. I told her I was going to make Edwards the Gator of the week. She said, or of the weekend. She said, I said I was as nervous as I've ever been watching gymnastics, and she said I was the same way. She goes, I was just petrified. And good for her, though. That is why she is a Gator of the weekend. All right, finally on Pat Dooley's Storytime, brought to you by Eastlake Pediatrics. We appreciate our friends at Eastlake Pediatrics. I was actually doing some stuff with the golf tournament, which they're a major sponsor of, and kind of come up with some cool stuff for their hole and everything. Let us get to Pat Dooley's Storytime, though. And I could go, all right, which story do I want to tell you from Augusta? The day that I saw my name across the leaderboard because I won the lottery to play the next day, or the actual day that I played? You want me to tell you about that? Or the night I stayed up before I got to play and did not go to sleep because I was watching the weather for 6 hours. There was a chance of rain. Or I could tell you the story of bringing my dad there. I don't think I'll tell you that one. So bring my dad there, I think it was 98. And I put my stuff down. I tell him, I'm going to go put my stuff in the media center. I'll be right out here. Just get a beer and a sandwich. Get it, put it all away, talk to a couple people, walk out. Dad's standing there with a beer and a sandwich. And I go, why aren't you eating and drinking? He goes, this was $3. He doesn't want, it's like gold. He doesn't want to eat it. I've never bought a sandwich and a beer for $3 since I was like 21. Let me tell you what, same price as today too. So we walk, it's very hilly, as you know. We walk, and I said, I'm going to take you to somewhere I want you to go. And we walk down there, and we walk backwards on 18, and we walk through this, and there's like trees up there, and he goes, where are we going? I go, come on, Dad, come keep walking with me. You know, you may have to move a magnolia out of your way, and we're walking up here, and we get up to the 12th tee, and I said, Dad, amen corner. And I looked at him, and a little tear ran down his eye. And I said, my job is done here, and I went back to work. It was one of my favorite moments of my dad. And he died 2 years ago, I think 2 years ago tomorrow. So I miss him, but I got to do that for him. And I have a Bob Dooley Invitational every year. That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks to Jared for doing a great job producing as always. Thanks to Coach Spurrier. Thanks to Robbie Andrew. Don't forget Izzy Gutierrez on Friday. Can't wait to talk to Izzy. Always fun to talk to him. And we'll be back then. Until then, I am Pat Dooley saying I'm deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.